If you're looking for a wicked combination of aggressive volume levels paired with one of the deeper tones in the category, then the MBRP Armorlite Race Catback might just be the perfect choice for your 2024 and newer non-active exhaust Mustang GT. Now, this particular MBRP system will feature the Armorlite construction, which will be the company's most affordable offering due to the aluminized steel build, and will come in at a very affordable mid $600 price point. But as is tradition, let's start off by ranking the sound clips you guys heard at the very start of this video. And listen guys, if you want loud, then you are certainly in the right place. Plenty of volume coming from the combination of the included H-pipe here, working with those straight through race series mufflers. So much so that I'm willing to go strong 4 out of 5 here on my 1 to 5 or 1 to wake the neighbor scale. Now, typically that full 5 out of 5 is achievable, but it is hard to come by. And while this system does get pretty close, I will say the deepness of the tone and the lack of overwhelming rasp really helps keep this thing, I would say, livable without being obnoxious, and certainly helps it stand out amongst the other louder systems out there. Now, you do pick up a little bit of rasp once you really start getting into those upper RPM ranges, but overall, easily one of the deeper sounding systems in the category. A little bit of noise tends to creep in the interior while beating on the car, but honestly, that's more just raw exhaust tone or volume than overall drone, so certainly no worries there. But what do you say we move into the materials and construction? And again, this is what MBRP calls their Armorlite system, formerly known as the Installer Series. Now, if you're a fan of the brand or are familiar with them, then you'll know that this is typically their most budget-friendly system in their lineup, and that is due mainly to the materials used. Aluminized steel in this case, which is going to be recommended for more dry climates, non-salty, basically non-snowy climates, because that material is a little bit more prone to corrosion long term. Because of that, MBRP is only going to throw a 3-year warranty at this thing. Still pretty impressive overall, but if you did want that added peace of mind, you'll have to step up to the Armor Pro system and its corresponding 304 grade stainless, which does get backed by a lifetime warranty. Now, outside of materials, you are going to be looking at essentially a full 3-inch system here, guys. Mandrel bent tubing. There is a small neck down, of course, to mate up with the factory connection. But outside of that, guys, you're looking at a H-pipe design here for the mid-pipe. We talked about that a little bit earlier on. This is going to help contribute to that deeper tone we heard earlier with our sound clips, and going to be working with your straight-through mufflers here from MBRP. The Race Series mufflers certainly going to help increase your exhaust flow and performance along with your overall volume. Finally, everything is going to exit out these rather large 4.5-inch polished tips here. They are etched with the MBRP logo. Nice dual-walled large slash-cut tips. I like that. Really fills out the valance on those non-active 24 and up GTs. And that is actually going to be made from 304 grade stainless. We talked about the rest of the system being aluminized, but the part you actually see once the exhaust is installed is the tip, and the 304 is essentially as best as you can get when it comes to corrosion resistance. Moving into price point here, guys, and certainly another big factor to consider when talking about the MBRP Armorlite. This thing will come in at or around that mid to high $600 level. Easily one of the most affordable full catbacks on the site for your S650 at home. Now, granted, you are not getting the full stainless steel build. You are, however, getting an absolutely killer tone and a pretty respectable warranty despite the more affordable materials. But now let's segue into the installation here, guys, and the site's gonna call this a solid 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, taking about 2 hours to complete from start to finish. But now what do you say we throw things out to the shop for our detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown?
Tools required for this install include an impact gun, a ratchet, a mallet, an exhaust hanger remover tool, a flathead screwdriver, a swivel adapter, an 8mm Allen socket, 13mm swivel socket, 15mm socket, and a pry bar. What's up, guys? Today we're installing an exhaust on our Mustang, so let's get started. So the first thing we're gonna do is come to the double flange behind our cat. We have 4 15mm bolts that we can loosen up with a 15mm socket. Now we're gonna leave this just like that for now as we work on the rest. One thing to keep in mind is when we go to pull this off, this little hook is keeping this on, so you're gonna have to get a flathead screwdriver to pull back on that on both sides when we go to remove it. Next, we can come right behind our rear diff to this hanger. There's one on each side of this bracket. There's a 13mm bolt holding it on. So I've got a 13mm swivel socket on an extension to pop this off. And now we'll just come to the other side and do the same exact thing. And now with them both removed, you can push up to get those hangers off the hooks. And do that same thing on the other side. Now, last thing we need to do before we can remove this is remove these 2 bolts that were on the inside of those 2 hangers behind the rear diff. So I'm using that same 13mm socket with an extension. Now with those removed, we can push it up off the hook and pull that down to get the clearance we need. So now I've got myself a buddy to support the weight of the rear of the exhaust while I work on the front. We're gonna push this towards the rear to disconnect these 2 pipes, and then we can pull it forward to pull it out of the back hangers. So now with our exhaust removed, we can take an exhaust hanger remover tool to pop off these 2 hangers because we will have to reuse them for our new exhaust. Now, last thing we need to pop off is our 2 clamps that are at the front of the exhaust. You can take a rubber mallet and get the edge of a pry bar on the edge of the clamp to tap these off. So now we're ready to start installing our new exhaust. The first thing we're gonna do is get our clamps back up onto the edge of our pipe. The side with the nuts is gonna go towards the passenger side. So now we'll take our clamp, nuts pointed towards the passenger side, and slide that over. Same thing with the other one. And then we can grab our H pipe. I've got a pole jack here to support the weight of the back side of the pipe. Now we can take a 15mm socket and tighten down our clamps. Next, we can install our axle pipe. So we're gonna take the hanger that we removed. You're gonna want the clip facing the front of the car. And then we'll slide that onto our rod. And then we'll get one of our clamps, Slide that over one edge of the pipe. And we'll get our hanger up in there first, slide our pipe on, and then we can clip our hanger into place. Push that on the rest of the way. Next, we can thread in the bolt for our hanger. And then I'll take a 13mm swivel socket to tighten that down. Now we can go back to our clamp and take a 15mm socket to tighten it down. And now that we have one of these tubes on a hanger supporting the weight of our exhaust, we can remove the pole jack, and then you can repeat that same process for the other side. Next, we can reattach this bracket by hooking it on, and then we'll thread in our bolt on each side. And then we'll take that same 13mm swivel socket and tighten this down. Next, we can install our tailpipe. So we're gonna take another clamp and slide that over the edge of our pipe. And now I'm gonna get this rod up into our hanger that's right above the diffuser first, and then we can connect our two pipes together. And now we can come back to our clamp and take our 15mm socket to tighten it down. Now lastly, we can install our tip. We have a bolt on top that we're going to use an 8mm Allen socket to tighten down. So slide that on, and you can have this have as much poke or as little poke as you'd like. We're going to put it right about there. And then we'll tighten this down. And now once you have your tailpipe and your tip installed, you can repeat the same process on the other side. So that'll wrap up this review and install of the MBRP Armor Light Catback Exhaust race version for your 2024 and newer Mustang GT Fastback without active exhaust. Thank you for watching, and for all things Mustang, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.